So let's call this meeting to order at noon, high noon I believe it is, 12:01. And recognition of the public, we have a sign-in sheet. I believe we have Dan, our road commissioner here, and Laura Lawson-Tucker. Laura, did you get a chance to sign in?
I did. I didn't know about this.
Thank you so much. New additions to the agenda, as I've mentioned, I believe Cheryl Franklin will be joining us. She's our representative to Wyndham Solid Waste Management District if she is able to. So if she's not, she'll come next time. And in terms of changes to agenda order, I did tell Cheryl if she was able to come that we would put her near the front to not hold her up. So I think that's it. Anybody have any other additions, changes? Okay. So let's look at the minutes, approval of minutes.
I move we approve the minutes for Monday, September 28th, 2015. Do we have to do them separately?
I think we do, because Dick was not at them. I only was smiling because I was thinking of the what you guys just learned in open meeting law, but let's just do this for now.
We don't know if we learned it or not.
Oh, okay.
Sarah.
So the minutes, you're making a motion for the approval of minutes for September 28th. Do I hear a second?
Second.
And we were all present for that, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll sign those and pass them around before we move on to the next one.
So who made the motion?
Sheila and Gabby seconded.
And I move we approve the minutes of Tuesday, October 6th, 2015.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And Troy was here, so we'll get his signature when he returns.
Okay.
He was at that meeting, but not here now to sign. So, Laura, are you here about this agenda item, this next one? The leach field?
Leach field, yes.
Okay.
That's why I'm here. And I'm thinking Alan McBean is meant to be here.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then.
Yes.
We can bump it down, give him some time to get here? Okay. As if on cue. So first of all, we...
Do you have technical, I mean, I can maybe answer, I'm here prepared to answer questions.
Okay.
But you might have some technical ones I can't, which I...
Okay. Let's take a look and say, you can see on the agenda that Paul Favreau was going to be here. He had a conflict. He intends to be here on the 26th, which is our next meeting, I think. So why don't we put off just for a little bit of time, because give him a little time to get here. Let's go to old business. Are people okay with that? Mm-hmm. We wanted to revisit Ralph Winchester's salvage yard application. We had approved it, but the application, we noticed later, asks for us to approve it for a length of time. And also, once we approve it, Ralph still needs to submit his payment, which I'm sure somebody will be in touch with him about doing that. It won't be approved until he does so. So, comments, questions about that?
I would be in favor of, due to my conversation with him and his plans for the future, to go for the 5-year permit. And I have a gut feeling at the end of that time, that'll be all cleaned up and gone.
So, any other comments about that? I think the reason there was a suggestion of a 1-year approval was that he had said he intended to retire after a year.
He said in the meeting,
Well,
his
yeah.
comments were he hoped to retire at the end of the year, within a year.
What are the options there?
1 through 5.
1 through 5.
Yeah.
The certificate is valid for 1 through 5 years from the date of issuance, subject to the provisions of the state statute.
So if that's a concern, I mean, I think people expressed, neighbors are expressing concern, so why don't we give them a year and then see where it is next year?
The good thing about the year is that, as you know, and as we've experienced this over the years, is that in response to the permit application, he makes quite an effort to improve things, and that's why the process has been a good one.
Yeah, I think he wants to get out of it, and that's the reason, well, maybe, you know, my conversation, because he was, I guess he was not in good shape. The meeting he's supposed to come to. And-
Yeah.
and
I
I don't care, I was just suggesting that because that would give him time
Yeah.
to complete the process of cleaning
Why
up.
don't we do a year just to, and, because I think it does encourage him to hear people are interested in, you know, it's not been, it was a perfectly, you know, reasonable exchange we had with him. Anybody have a motion?
I move we approve Ralph's Winchester's salvage yard application for the period of a year and submitted assuming he pays the fee.
Where is that part you said we need to check? Show me where that is.
Well done on it. There it is.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed, motion carried. And so I think everything else, we're all signed, sealed, and ready to go. It's just, as you said, dependent on his remittance of the fee.
Then I can contact him
That'd be great,
to
thank you.
ask for that.
And I believe that
Mr.
Alan McBean just showed up, am I correct? Good afternoon, good morning, thank you for being here. I'm Ann, Chair of the Board, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about this issue. And basically, just to review, this is that we're looking at a replacement septic, is it septic tank or leach field area?
Leach field.
Leach field area, that's what I thought. It's going to need to go, there's going to need to run under the road, which I'm glad, Dan, you're here for. But the other issue is that this is going to encroach on the Spring Farm property, is that correct?
Yes.
It's gonna be on their property, but just so you know, before we even got to this point, when we had a no from the Broadbridges, so we had no other option, but to contact the Anthonys. And Barbara and Reed were wonderful and said, certainly they would talk to the younger generation, who are the people in charge of the Springs Trust. It's not the land trust, but it's the Springs Farm Trust, two very different things.
Okay.
And the family is completely on board, and their lawyer, Jane Crockmully, is working up the easement as well as our lawyer. So we're doing it all properly, and the Anthonys are fully on board. And the idea is the lowest possible footprint, and also so tractors can still go on top of it.
So our only concern would be approving the going under the road.
There'll be boring.
We're gonna bore.
That was my understanding, that the only issue we had was the under the road part. And Dan, do you have any questions or
I
concerns?
already talked to Brian Tyler, because he was asking questions about it, and I have an idea where they're gonna go, but I think they're gonna go underneath the big culvert,
We've got plans
And,
right here, yeah.
so they can, they're gonna bore, they're not gonna dig the road up.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, so requesting permission from the town to place the second force main under the road in the location shown on the plan, which is attached here. The schematic cross-section indicates the proposed path of the line as it passes under the roadway and culvert. The line would be placed approximately 3 feet below the culvert's location, beginning in Tucker's front yard and surfacing in the vicinity of the disposal area. And they've addressed your concerns because they're boring, they're not digging.
So moved.
Any questions?
I have a question. So should we move to approve this pending receipt of a copy of the easement? So that we don't put ourselves in a...
No, I think.
I don't think that part's our business. I think our business, I think that's for them to work out as landowners.
So if the town approves this and then they come back, somebody were to come back and say there's no easement, we have no liability.
The state permit will stipulate that the easement happens and is duly recorded in the land records before the permit is actually valid. So that'll all be stipulated in the state permit, I believe. Yeah.
And as long as it's marked too, I mean, they'll mark it.
Yeah,
Where it's gonna come out.
without the easement, it'd be born a hole in nowhere, so, I mean, well.
Does this somehow affect how easily we can replace the culvert if need be?
It'll be underneath if we
It'll
ever
be-
have to replace it.
So it'll be no different than if it weren't there, the boring? When you replace the culvert, it's not gonna make it easier or harder, it's gonna be no different.
They'll go underneath it. As far as I know, I haven't looked at the plan, but the way Brian was talking, they're gonna go underneath too.
So there's kind of the profile section right here, showing the position of the culvert. So here's
Yeah.
Tucker's yard, will go down to a depth of about 4 feet and then angle in
Underneath the
under,
tube,
so
yeah.
there'll be about 3 feet of clearance there, and then
So they'll
surface
be,
in the.
just as long as it's marked, I mean, they'll be
You can
fine.
dig up the culvert and put it back, no problem.
It'll be down underneath it well enough.
Okay,
And even if they were to hit it digging or something, it could be spliced and repaired and reburied, so,
That's that worst case scenario.
yeah.
Yeah. By the looks of it, it's gonna be a couple feet underneath it anyways.
Shooting for 3 feet.
Yeah, so it's gonna be well underneath it, yeah.
Second.
Dick, you made a motion, correct, to approve this? Dick made a motion to grant the request of permission from the town of Guilford to place a, not, what is it?
Leach field.
no,
It's
to
not-
bore under the,
But what is it, are we placing a pipe? What is it that it?
Yeah, it's gonna be a
Okay.
high-density polyethylene pipe, similar to a water line,
Okay. You can
2
just
inches in
write pipe.
diameter. And it'll be one whole piece, and so the drill will surface in the field, and then it'll pull the pipe back through in the hole that it created, basically.
Got it.
You want to
Okay.
restate my motion, put all that in it?
Yeah, I said you can shorten that to pipe. You don't need high density 2-inch. So the motion is to approve the placement of a pipe, 2-inch, all of the above, under the road, and with the acceptance and approval of the road commissioner.
And can I just add one thing?
Let's get a second
Oh,
first.
sorry.
Second.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
As of yesterday, we have a porta potty, and I'm like, it's not going to the Ritz. So I want to thank you, so we can move forward, so we can have our bathroom back. So we have if you see a porta potty in our yard, that's what that's all about.
So, yes, welcome back to the 21st century. We're happy to have you here.
Porta potty must be involved, because I was stopping at exit 1 this morning for coffee, and a big sign on the door, there's a porta potty out back.
Go to the Tuckers if you need to.
All right, are we set to move on?
With vote?
Yes, all in favor?
Aye.
No, it's.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, guys. It's details like that.
You figured out exactly.
Okay, so, and I don't believe this needs a signature. No, there's no place for me to sign this.
Does this need to be filed with town records?
I would think it needs to be filed attached to the minutes.
I think when you get done with the whole thing, yeah, it needs to be, yeah.
All right.
Yep. Do you need a copy of that for you?
The which?
I don't know if there's any, we're just approving the giving permission to go on the road. I don't know if you need any documentation of that.
If the state asks for it, but
The
at that
minutes
point,
from
the
today's
minutes,
meetings will.
they're all posted,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, yes, they are. They're on our website.
Great.
Great, thank you. Okay.
Dan, you want?
I'm gonna just give them a minute to,
Actually, the wording of the, was wrong. Approval was to drill on the road, not to drill on the road for a pipe, not just with a pipe on the road, but I think it's all in there.
I can fix
why
it.
don't you read the wording of the motion, just so we're sure.
Motion to approve placement of pipe under road with
Placement is
acceptance
ambiguous enough, I guess.
with acceptance of road commissioner.
Right. That's okay, next item on the agenda is town administration follow-up. So, Sheila.
I have two things.
Mhm.
The first thing is Monday, Penny, Pete, Ron, Katie, and I met to talk about getting the budget process underway for the fiscal year 2017. And we did good work, but I also want to thank Ron, Pete, and Penny for being here on a holiday to work with us and also to help facilitate the collection of taxes on a holiday. So, which there were plenty of people walking in to pay taxes. So everybody was great. It was really a very productive meeting, and people are going to be hearing from us pretty soon about this. So.
And one of the things that we had talked about in the last meeting that you had missed was that there were tasks that we need to be sure are assigned, and that was the primary reason for that meeting, was kind of a who's on first, who's gonna be sure we get this information from whom to whom. So I think, I feel very, very confident that there's a good process coming through that. You sent me rough notes, I really even haven't had a chance to look at them, but I'm wondering if we would want to get those out to board members before the next meeting. Do you think that'd be helpful?
Yeah, I'm waiting for confirmation that I had no misunderstandings about things that went on from Katie. But yes, we will get them out. And we will also, excuse me, be posting future, when we actually start working on the budget, we'll be posting those dates on the website per our discussion at the last meeting, so that if any people in the public want to participate in budget working sessions, they're free to do so.
Or observe?
Or observe.
Yeah, and when we have open meetings, they're really, just to clarify, it's giving people the right to observe. Participation is at the, pleasure of the board.
I took that, when I asked the question at the meeting, that they have to be posted as per a regular meeting and classified as a budget meeting. We just can't say it's a work session.
Right, but this is not, there's only one member of the select board who will be present at this meeting. It's not like we're warning a meeting. There will be discussions
It's a
about
committee-
the budget.
It's a committee per se.
Of one person?
I'm confused. It sounds like you two are talking about two different things. I just want to clarify. You said when we have budget meetings, they'd be posted.
When we have meetings to work on the budget,
And that,
which we are likely to do before the select board meetings.
but, okay, and.
So you're thinking, Dick, that they need
I'm
to
saying
be?
that as a committee per se, it needs to be posted.
I will check that with Sarah.
Okay, and the other thing is that, as we start, quote, working on the budget, that will be, the board as a whole will be
Yes,
doing that
definitely.
work.
Yes, and that will be on the agenda.
Definitely be posted, yes.
And
Yeah.
Katie and I will be, sort of following up from what we work on before the meeting at the select board meeting, so.
Right, but the beyond the actual select board regular twice monthly meetings, there will probably be some work session meetings, but in which the select board works on the agenda.
The way I asked the question to clarify that, was I said, we have a habit, I've had a habit in the past of using the terms work sessions to cover certain items, and she said, well, such as what items? And I said, well, let's just say the budget, for instance. And I immediately got some, no, you can't do that.
Right.
Did
So-
you quantify the, I'm so sorry for interrupting.
No, so that just to clarify, as Dick was saying, if we're having a budget work session with the board, going over the budget, that is a meeting that must be posted, warned,
Right.
yada, yada,
Yes,
yada.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what were you gonna say, Cheryl?
I think that our sort of preliminary meetings, where I would be working with Katie, do not need to be posted.
Okay, that.
That's what I will
One of the
confirm
things that
with
we did at the last meeting that you were not at is per the contract, there would be a liaison person, so, and that would be Sheila, so. Yeah, okay, clarify.
Yeah, okay, the second issue is, just Dick, you and I were supposed to meet to talk about the job description.
Yes.
And I don't know if you have that, I'm willing to do it after this meeting. We need to get
I
it
was
to,
gonna meet with you yesterday, but I was working yesterday. So yeah, I definitely wanna meet with you and go over it.
so let's set a time.
You want to do it right after this meeting, assuming?
Yeah, okay, I guess, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Great, and then maybe at the next select board meeting, report back.
Yeah.
As I feel like we're in a good position, we've got good supports in place, thank you, Ron.
Yeah.
And Cynthia Stoddard and Katie helping with the financial heavy lifting, which is where our focus is at this time of year. So I think in terms of not instantly advertising and seeking out a replacement for town administration, I think we have that luxury because we have good supports in place. Okay, so next item on the agenda is recent workshop reports information. In the past 2 weeks, Dick and Sheila and I and Peter attended, Pete Hetzel attended both of them. I don't think Penny attended the budget workshop specifically geared towards budget prep. And then last week, Danny and Dick, Sheila, I, and Penny attended the town fair up in Killington. So, you know, if there are big takeaways, I think we don't want to spend a huge amount of time, but I found that there were some great information in both meetings, and if anybody had anything they wanted to just share for the record, that'd be great.
I'm gonna ask Dan to quickly give us an impact of what that meeting we went to
Well,
have on you.
One on water quality was, basically the state's promoting, they want you to do stone line ditching, do your culverts, proper installation on your culverts. And eventually down the road, there's gonna be a fee for all this.
And can I ask,
And there-
because I attended the Clean Water Initiative, Act 64, I'm gonna guess we're talking sort of about the same thing.
Yeah, so, yeah. No. And what they're looking at is eventually down the road, it's gonna be anywhere from $400 to $2,000 a year for a permit. So-
Just to replace culverts?
Well, it's, what it's boiling down to, they wanna know what's going on, you know what I'm saying?
From what the, I want to say, the road commissioner from Benson said, I spoke to him afterwards, he said, every town in the state of Vermont has to pay $2,000 a year for a period of 20 years to get this project done. And he said he mentioned to Mr. Ryan, who gave the class, that $40,000 in each town would be better than a ditch if it would be in Montpelier. So there's a lot of,
Say that last part again, that 40,000 would be better where?
the $40,000 that the state wants out of each town over a 20-year period, it'd be a lot better putting a ditch for stone lining than it would be in Montpelier for a meeting. So he was a little bit sarcastic about it, but it made sense, you know.
Yeah.
They're charging, you know, and on top of the permit that Dan has to get to do this. So where it's gonna go, nobody knows. It started in 1991 and they haven't got it done yet. And
They're still working on it.
they're still working on it. Another question he asked, he told me was, he said, the phosphorus level in Lake Champlain from 1991 till now is now at 1.3%, which is not a whole lot, but.
So I attended the Act 64, very related. Carrie Dolan from Waitsfield was the speaker, and she's with Clean Water Vermont. It sounded like that process is moving more quickly. Within a few years, we're gonna have quite a bit more regulation from the EPA. And that, they're pushing towards accountability. She was, not surprisingly, very positive about this as a way of cleaning things up, but I was, as kind of you guys were reading between the lines about the fees, the permitting that's gonna be required, and schedule of inventorying all roads, and us prioritizing, and then she also talked about the ag practices. So it did raise some concerns for me about the impact on the town. I think that there are a lot of really good ideas, but they end up generated at the state level that end up costing the towns a lot of money. And that's, it was hard not to appreciate her enthusiasm for cleaning things up, but you do kind of look at who's paying for it, and it's a little bit of a concern. So what else? Anything else?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out, I'm just writing down something for the budget, because I'm imagining, Danny, that this is gonna impact our roads budget, our highway fund
It's
for
gonna
the,
have to come out of somewhere, we're
Yeah.
gonna have to budget for it. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
you know.
so I'm just trying to
Yeah.
make myself a note.
And then, well, when we get to it later, I'll tell you a little bit more, so.
Yeah, okay, so other takeaways, I went to the one on, Sheila and I both did on town meetings, and this is a book that we're familiar with, and Susan Clark was giving it. One thing that I hadn't really put together, and this was just me not connecting the dots, was that Act 46 about consolidating school boards is going to have a tremendous impact on town meeting. Because if you do not have the school budget passed at town meeting, I think attendance at town meeting overall is going to fall off significantly. If there is, in other words, instead of there being a Guilford school board, there is a regional school board that approves the budget regionally, that's an impact on town meeting. So that was a concern that I took away from that. Susan also was very, impassioned and all these things about the wonder of town meeting. And she said it's generally more productive in towns under 5,000, and I think in Guilford it's been productive. Do you have something to add about that?
No, just that we got 5 copies of this book here, and 4 of them are up here. or will be. And she had a lot of ideas about how to increase participation at town meeting, which we might want to think about as we get closer to it, so.
Bring Vita back. Bring Vita back.
It was, but I also have stuff on the open meeting.
Go for it.
If you want. So I sent today a PowerPoint presentation to Ron, sorry, not Dan, and I have an extra copy here. And I have 5 copies of the Vermont Open Meeting Law Quick Guide.
Oh, good.
Which was pretty helpful. And this presentation will be up on the VLCT board. I think I told you this already, Ron. Soon. This is the up-to-date presentation. I think Ron's going to put it someplace, make it available here. It represents the changes in the law. It covers changes in law since 2014. So a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. I think we need to share this with, I'm pretty sure, confident that we need to share this with all the Guilford boards and commissions. So I would like to ask Ron to give these PowerPoint presentations to those boards. I asked a question about if we had a discussion about the quorum, and I asked a question about whether if we wanted to go, a bunch of us wanted to go with Danny to learn about the roads, the situation of the roads or a particular bridge. Could it be 2 or could it only be 2 or could it be more? And the answer was, if you are discussing the issue with your 3 or more, in other words, a quorum, you may not all participate without warning. But if you are just being informed, like if Danny was talking and we weren't talking amongst ourselves, that would be okay. But I have that written down, Ron, if you want me to get it back to you.
Because I'm a little confused.
So you can't discuss an issue or act when you have a quorum without prior notice. But you can gather information.
Example, we went out to Hale Road.
That was gathering information.
We were gathering information and fear. No, I'm kidding. So we went out to Hale Road, but let's just say that Gabby or Dick or Troy had gone with us. If in that case we're looking at observing, that's fine. If we stand there and say, well, what should we do about this? We could do X, Y, or Z as a board, that would not be okay. So it's gathering information is fine, it's making decisions is not fine, right?
Right.
My other question was related to what is not a meeting. So I said, for example, if 5 of us decide to get together and have coffee or a drink in celebration of the fact that the budget is finished, could we? And she said you could, as long as you do not discuss the issue or other issues or make any
I'll
actions.
follow up on that and say, you buy him the drink.
I will. I note that there are 4 requirements for posting special meetings, so I'll give this to Ron. It's also in here. I just wanted to say that and it's not 1 of 4 or 3 of 4, it's all 4, which includes we have to let people know if there's anybody who's asked to be advised of the meetings in writing in advance of the meetings, then we have to notify those individuals. And there was a discussion, about how do you notify the individual. It's not sufficient to just post electronically.
Do you mean if Rob Hendrick said, I want to know about the meetings, we are required to call him or
Yes. Yes.
About every meeting or special meetings?
It depends what they've asked for in writing.
Any meeting.
Yeah.
But I didn't take it quite that way. I thought if it was said as the records has to be available.
You have to provide notice you have to post the notice. You have to give oral or written notice to the members of the public. You have to provide notice to any person who has provided a written request for such notice.
Yes, written request,
Yeah,
yes.
so he can't just talk to you about this, but, I mean, maybe he can. But, and then you have to notify an editor, not any editor.
Is that
So
special
does that have to
meetings
be
or
by
any-
mail?
That's also other meetings.
Any meeting.
It's all meetings.
Because the mail's not what it used to be.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. And I will put these notes on the back of something like this, and Ron will have them. So-
And I think you went further with that, said if somebody from New Hampshire wanted to know what the agenda was, you had to give it to them. Was that the follow-up you
I
did
don't
with that?
remember, yeah.
If somebody did, I think the question was, if somebody called from Oshkosh and wanted to know what the agenda was, that it had to be available to them. That was the take I got, that might not be,
Interesting.
if somebody did follow up with that.
Anything else about that?
That's all I,
That's really helpful, and where those little, quick sheets, I just wanna be sure one of them ends up with me. The other day that we spent, was on budgeting. I don't think it makes sense for us to report out, but I think it will certainly inform our process. There's a
Yeah.
lot of really good information. We got good, Gabby, if you might be interested, or Troy's not here, but, you know, they gave a lot of good information about that process. So if you wanna borrow this stuff from me?
I think Sheila actually checked for me and it should be posted online, so I'm gonna try and,
Okay, great.
I heard they
Excellent.
wouldn't give you.
yeah, I tried, I know, I'm like, well, that, she said they would know.
Okay, so, and that, you know, I think this is kind of the time of year when a lot of those things are presented. I don't know of any other upcoming meetings, do you?
Yep,
As far as I know, they're not having a fall select board meeting, which usually covers a lot of that.
What do you have there?
there's the fall auditors workshop.
Oh, right.
November 18th, which I think I signed up for because it's supposed to help with managing the audit, using internal controls, so, you know, budget, stuff like that, so.
Okay. So anybody else have any other show and tell from our, okay. That's the wrong agenda. Here we go, this is the right one. Okay, Highway, Dan, thank you for being here. I'm curious to know about follow-up in terms of primarily Hale Road Bridge 63.
Hale Road Bridge, I talked to the state. I
Okay,
don't know if they've been over there to look at it yet. I have not been in touch with the contractor on the bridge deck. He's supposed to be doing the one at the line sometime this month.
that's Bridge 65?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll talk to him roughly the same time. And when I talked to Mark Pickering from the state, I told him what I had planned for that Bridge 64, I think it is.
Yeah, thank you.
And he thought that was a very good idea, putting a concrete deck on it. So.
And did you talk with him at all about, you know, you and I talked about short-term,
No, I haven't,
Okay.
I haven't.
things to put in place, and that's really with the engineer from the contractor.
Yeah, so. Then, of course, you guys know we had a little problem down on Lowry Road.
I have pictures.
Yeah, the pictures of the culvert. Well, anyways, the culverts are supposed to be delivered sometime tomorrow. I'm gonna watch the weather and see what the weather is, 'cause I wanna do it when low water, so I don't know if I'll do it Friday or Monday. But I gotta let everybody know down here on the culvert replacement. What we're doing is putting in 2 4-foot culverts. The old culvert there is completely gone, it's rotted and it's been bothering for years. And that last high water we had, it finally took its toll on it. And I have a ticket to do what I wanna do down there. And this is just gonna be a temporary fix, because the state's gonna do a hydraulic study. And they want a 3 by 10 foot box in there. And which would be, eventually down the road, we're gonna be looking at probably 40, close to 50,000. I can put these 2 culverts in down here for under 10. So,
So in terms of some kind of fix other than that bridge, I'm going back to Hale Road.
yeah.
In terms of that, we've got that steel plate on there right now, but we're anticipating doing something more for temporary.
For something more for a temporary.
Before winter.
I wanna get my other stuff done first.
Okay.
Right now, these two culverts is on the top of my list.
For
Plus
Lowry
we're,
Road.
yeah,
Yeah.
plus we're still out grading and blowing leaves too, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I had a question. So for the Hale Road Bridge that has issues, right now, there's a plate on it?
Mhm.
And then, was that what you were talking about? You were talking Mark Pickering about the state, you're gonna then put concrete slab on it?
No, for a replacement.
For a total
Eventually.
replacement,
Right.
this is like our
Right.
long-term goal.
Right.
Yeah.
But in between the
Well, you'll see when we
concrete
go
and
around.
the whatever's there now, there needs to be a different solution?
Right now, we got a big steel plate sitting right on top.
Okay, But
Which ain't gonna, if
It's
it
not
stays
gonna last
here all
the winter.
winter, ain't gonna bother.
Oh, it will be okay in the winter, even
Yeah.
with plowing and everything?
Yep, it'll be all right.
One of the things that we talked about at the last meeting that I don't think we acted on, and it was changing the load limit on that road.
Yeah, we could, if we want, well, that means we're gonna have to be careful, because that means I ain't gonna be able to put my.
But didn't we talk about like a middle load limit that you could still get over, but not some of those huge logging trucks? What did we?
Yeah, we could, you know, the grader weighs 42,000. So that's,
Can we do a load limit, but the exception being emergency, like emergency and town vehicles? I don't know, we have to state that, yeah.
I mean, I'm curious.
I mean, it's, right now with that steel plate on there, it's not gonna do any more damage than what there is right now. Well, we were underneath it when the,
So, has an engineer looked at it?
That's what he's gonna get.
no, that's what I'm gonna have done. From the guy who's gonna do or get an estimate on what the concrete deck's gonna be.
Okay, and when is that gonna happen?
As soon as I get a hold of him, and he gets time to go out there and look at it.
Like, does it need to happen now, or is it like, that's gonna happen in the spring, so we
I
can
think
wait on it?
now.
or-
I think before the.
Yeah, I'll get him out there and do it, get it done now and get the things in the works and see what, you know, what it's gonna be.
And the engineer will give us an estimate on what needs to happen as far as the
Yeah.
concrete slab and an estimate and all that,
Yeah.
the stability.
I think the thing that, you know, there are two pieces you said, a concrete slab. I think that for the long-term fix, yeah, we want an estimate on that. But my immediate concern, which you raised a few meetings ago, was, is there something we should do short-term
Yeah.
more than the steel plate? I spoke with Matt Mann this morning, and he did mention that if I think it was, we were talking about maybe Guilford Center Road, or about Better Back Roads grant availability next spring if we decide to do the that fix of the Guilford Center Road next spring, but we have to spend it in October, before October.
Right, and actually the Better Back Roads program is bumping their, it's a $10,000 thing. They're bumping it up to $20,000.
Oh, we didn't know that,
Yeah,
good.
so that was, they just said at the meeting
Yeah.
on Thursday.
So that, but then you have that time frame. You've got to get it done, so.
Yeah. But that's I called Todd, he was gonna come down and look at that project, because I told him that's gonna be it's gonna have to be a budgeted item.
Right.
Because that's nothing that, you know, you're gonna have to start from the bottom, work your way up, so.
Right.
And I did get the permits for Lowry Road, and we went right online, and it was a very easy process, and it's pretty easy, so.
So Fred was right there.
Yeah.
I think there's no E. It's just Lowry, right? Or is there an E in it?
Lowry?
Yeah.
L-O-W-R-Y.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, so you've been working hard, a lot of different directions.
Yeah, we've been grading, blowing leaves, they're finishing up on the other side of Green River Covered Bridge today. So, and then hopefully either Friday or Monday we'll get started on them culverts down on Lowry Road.
So what you did there was obviously just a temporary.
It was just a temporary fix.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Dan? We've got a lot going on in all different parts of town, so.
Nothing on the guardrail.
No, I haven't heard nothing from them. They were pretty busy. If we don't get it done this fall, it'll be done in spring. So,
I know.
Which guardrail?
Down on the bend is gonna be replaced.
Which
You don't want to.
What road?
Green River.
On the center road.
Down Center Road.
Okay.
Yeah, down here on the track corners, guardrail's gonna be all raised up because they're too low.
Do we do that? We have somebody who's going to do that.
Pardon?
Do we do that? Like, does the road crew do that, or do we need to?
No, that's a contract.
Contract.
All right, any other questions for Dan? So I think, you know, if you can hear by Mike, by the engineer before the October 26th meeting, that'd be great. You know, just do the best you can with that.
Okay.
All right, are we ready to go on to finance?
Can I just get a clarification on the town administration thing, on the job description?
Sure.
So my understanding is, Dick, you're gonna convey your edits to me or your suggestions, I'm gonna take them
I get them
down.
in the truck and bring them
And
right in here
then
after the meeting.
we will discuss the final as a group.
At the next meeting.
This is not a discussion between Dick and me, this
No,
is
that's
just.
just.
Right, yeah,
Okay,
Got
that's
it.
what I wanted to make sure.
yeah, got it.
Thank you.
Okay, finance?
Would you like me to go for this?
Sure.
I got the numbers.
Yeah.
There's an error in my thing. Instead of 45 cents, it's 48 cents on the 5599 one.
Okay, on payroll, 6,
Okay.
On the 16025.
Okay, so that means 3, and that means.
48.
Yeah, it's 48 cents instead of 45 cents.
1, and that means 511. Okay, if my numbers are wrong,
Just
it's
add
all
three-
your fault.
Just add 3 cents to whatever it is you had.
Okay, so I move that we approve payroll warrant 16023 in the amount of $5,579.45, and payroll warrant number 16025 in the amount of $5,599.48, for a total of payroll warrants of $11,178.93, and expense warrant number 1607 in the amount of $164,079.18. I'll get to the includes in a minute. And state license warrant 07DP in the amount of $276 for a grand total of warrants of $175,535.11.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then what you'll, if anybody is looking at the agenda, or if not, we're just gonna share a few, there were a couple big ticket items that we, and per Dick's suggestion, that we highlight. So Sheila, you want to, you had
I'll
said
read
you-
them.
yeah.
So the 3 big ticket items are the Vermont Roadworks invoice for paving Weatherhead Hollow Road for nearly $153,000. Greg's Auto Fender Repair for $3,166, and Tri-State Asphalt for $1,445.
So, and Ron used as just a demarcation, $1,000, items over 1,000. Now, I believe I signed one payroll, the major expense warrant and the license, but I'm not sure I signed a
didn't sign
second.
anything.
I think
Yeah.
that something's missing here.
All right, so let's
And I
just
haven't
take a
signed
look.
anything on.
Yep, here we go. That is the, that's
One
one payroll. So there's another payroll floating around. It'll show up.
I had all 3 of them just a moment ago.
Yep, you will, okay.
Only one payroll.
I'm sure I didn't
Yep, this is the 164.
sneak it into anything.
Oh, shoot.
It'll show up, don't
I
worry.
had it all set up just so that we would just right down the line.
Yep. Make sure somebody didn't grab it.
The second payroll that's missing.
Yep. Let's see what we got here.
I could have sworn I had them all here.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. We'll just, we've moved and approved them, so we'll just take a look, Cheryl. Those have been moved and approved, and Ron's just gonna find that other one. I keep thinking I scooped it up by mistake with my papers, but I don't think I did. Everybody double check.
This is the latest payroll. Well, can we just grab them?
Well,
Yep.
here's the
So-
3.
There's the 3.
Yep,
All
grab
right.
those, that's fine.
So
And,
there's that one, that one, that one.
yep,
One,
You want that far down? Yeah.
Hi Cheryl. Hi. You want to sign in up here before we forget about that? We're in pause mode right now.
So embarrassing.
It's not. not, doesn't matter, it's all good. I looked through my paper.
All right. I can see if I can get Pete to print me out another one if he's here.
Yeah, the other thing we could do is you don't, you know, you could, I mean, it's a payroll, it's pretty
It's a
standard.
payroll, Yeah,
And people could, you could get, I mean, it's a busy time probably for him right now, you can see.
yeah.
But he could print it and people could come in and sign it later, you know, we look through it.
Well, I had to have seen it or I wouldn't have gotten those numbers.
Yep, oh no, I know, I think it's just, I think it's missing in action. But everybody's looked through their stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on, and then we'll all do one more final search before we. Cheryl, thank you for being here. We are, we finished our finances, and we'd love to hear from you. So, Cheryl, as I was telling, Cheryl, have you, and Gabby, have you? Yeah, okay,
Yes.
so everybody's met you, great.
Yes. I'll probably, if it's all right, I'll just come
Sure,
that way.
come on up.
I've got here. So Troy came to the finance meeting on Thursday night. He wanted me to come in and just give you an update about what's going on with wind and solid waste, so.
And we appreciate it, thank you.
So, they're going to start working on their budget, and the finance committee chairman asked the employees to come up with some budgets. So they came up with a couple suggestions. I've got a couple copies that you can share, hopefully. One is with modified MRF, the other is with no MRF, which basically what that means is no MRF means no recycling collections and no recycling operations there. The other one is
At the solid waste management.
at the Ferry Road operations.
Thank you.
With modified, it means no 3 through 7 plastics will be processed. They'll get rid of the Stedman glass crusher. They'll do no rigid, excuse me, no rigid plastics. They'll still process the nickels, you know, the returnable. Okay. Basically, there'll be no manual sorting. I'm not sure if they get rid of the glass crusher, that means they'll still do the 5-cent returnables with the that glass, but they won't do any of the other glass. That will all go in the trash. So I'm not sure, they'll have to get approval from the state for that, because as Act 148 was written, they are supposed to be processing all that.
Well, that's why I'm thinking, what? There, you know?
So
We come across with the law that says now you have to do this, and they're saying, okay, for the first time, we're considering not offering any of this.
So the 3 through 7s are not mandated by the state, so that they can get rid of. They would still collect it under the modified, but it would then become trash. So their cost of disposal fees would increase. So looking at that budget, the assessments would have a 3% decrease based on last year's budget.
So I'm looking at something that shows a proposed FY17 budget of $340,000, as
Okay.
opposed to an approved FY16 budget of $510,000. So this is one
So
of
the 340, if you look up at the top left, are you looking at
No
this?
MRF.
No MRF. Okay, so that means no recyclable collectibles, no MRF, no recycling.
So they're gonna shave nearly, almost $200,000 off their budget if they do that.
If they do that proposal.
And if they do, and are the rest of these attached papers parts of that?
Right, that's the total breakdown, which you don't need to really concern
Sure.
yourself with all of that. But
Happy not
so
to.
that would be a 33% reduction in assessments.
And then if they do the modified MRF,
It's a 3% reduction in assessments. And I tried to quickly find last year's. There were so many budgets last year, and I'm not sure I even found the correct one because they changed it so many times. But if I found the correct one last year, Guilford's assessment was $29,309.91. And I'm not sure that that's accurate, but it's gotta be pretty close.
Yeah.
So you can, it would either be minus 3% or minus 33%. The other one was to stay status quo, and that it would be like plus 3%. Unfortunately, if you look at what I forwarded over to you last week, with the September, which is the quarterly finance reports.
They're in the red, right?
Exactly, they're in the red, after one quarter, they're in the red, $50,207.83, with a projected yearly loss of $180,000. And last year, they ended in the red $104,000.
So that they try to make moderate budgets, but then they can't stick to them.
Right, and that's what we thought, that was my guesstimation last year, looking at their budget.
I remember.
So if you say it's a 3% increase, looking at, just saying status quo, I'm not sure that that's realistic.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And commodity prices are down, and doesn't seem to be a light at the end of that tunnel, so that doesn't look like it's gonna change anytime.
So people understand when she says commodity, okay, good.
So, do you
Just
have
a
a question?
second, just for clarification on my thing.
Sure.
So the status quo is would probably be a 3% increase, but that doesn't include
Taking into account the fact.
180,000.
Right.
The deficit.
If the deficit, if it runs true to,
Consistent, what they've been doing for years.
Right.
So it'll be 3% or more.
yeah, who knows? That's just,
When do they decide?
well, the budget's supposed to be voted on in December. And so we're basically at a crossroads right now. With Act 148 started on July 1st. And the other issue is that they are going to need, or do already need, new trucks to continue to pick up the recyclables. They have 100 or thereabouts of the recycling bins, you know what I mean? They're out in all the towns. They have about 100 of those. Many of those they need to be replaced. They've replaced a few over the last few years. They run around 13 or 14,000 a piece. So many of those need to be, purchased. The MRF is 25 years, give or take, old. I did an assessment of 1 year of the cost of repairs for that, and it was like $80,000 in repairs. This last month, if you look at the report I send over, the checkbook register, they had over $5,000 in repair for that MRF this last month. And that's not uncommon. So, sometimes you can't keep running old equipment, you have to make a choice. Are we gonna continue to do this? So that's where we're at, There has been some product coming in from Hillsborough, New Hampshire, because where they were bringing it shut down. And there has been some inquiries from White River Junction to bring their paper here, but there's no real numbers right now to what that would bring. And, do we want to run the place for outside, but they're not members, obviously.
But the question, the reason to do that would be if it generated any kind of revenue.
And help cover, yeah, exactly. So.
It was 29,000, I checked,
Okay, yeah.
29,300.
Okay, was it 309.91? Yeah, so that's, so.
And what separation did they do with the paper product that come in?
How much separation of the paper product?
Absolutely.
I don't know exactly how much of the paper they separate. I mean,
Well, there's a paper mill within stone's throw of that place. It thrives on recycled material.
Right.
They won't take cardboard, they won't take newsprint, a lot of other stuff they don't take. And I didn't know if that would be an avenue to
I know
process
they've
and
contacted,
resell.
are you talking about like Putney Paper?
No,
I
I'm
mean?
talking about
No.
Lazy Fiber Mart.
I know they've contacted Putney Paper and made connections there before, I don't know about there.
They just got bought out by a new company out of Georgia, so it might be an idea to approach them.
Approach them and see
Yeah,
if
I
they're-
know when I worked there, they'd say cardboard was out, the newsprint was out, but about
Right.
everything else is.
And I don't know how separated the paper comes in, you know, and, but,
So, you know,
That's
I
it.
think we're, just to clarify, you know, we're kind of where we were last year. Again, we're looking at increased assessments.
Right.
And the concern that we as a board felt last year, and Cheryl agreed on, we actually, as a Guilford board, we convened some other local, regional boards to discuss the issue of Wyndham Solid Waste Management District struggling to stay afloat. Do we want to continue to be a part of it and really kind of subsidize their operation that doesn't seem able to, even with what they get from us to stay afloat? You know, I don't think we're talking right now about a big issue about let's pull out at this
Right,
point,
no.
but that's, just so you understand, that's been the continual rub here. Sheila had a question first, and then Gabby.
Sorry. Cheryl, I'm looking at the revenue projections and then actual to projected. And, I don't
Which
know
paper are you
So I'm
looking
on
at?
the no MRF.
okay.
So the sale of recycled materials was generously, the receipts were generous compared to the actuals, and they kept getting more generous despite decreasing actually. But, so I don't understand that thinking.
That thinking,
Yeah, but then, so the MRF would be, there would be no recyclables.
exactly,
This year.
yes, because they will
Okay.
lose that revenue. If the MRF shut down, they also wouldn't have the sale of the
Yeah.
recyclable product, yes. And that was my gripe last year as a board member. I thought their projections were too rosy, and that was one of the things I brought to this board, that I thought that their budget projections on the revenue side were too, I said, this isn't realistic, and this is what I brought to this board. I said, I mean, look across, look at the past, you have to, that's all you can base it on. And it's not realistic, I said, it's just what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you can look across the lines, and it's exactly what you're saying.
So, sorry for not understanding
No, no,
the
it's-
longer term, but does that mean that the Guilford's fee would rise even more because the revenues were even less than projected, or the deficit grows more?
It all depends on which direction the district goes. If they shut down the MRF, then assessments would go down because the revenues wouldn't be there, but the expenditures wouldn't either, because they wouldn't have the expenditures of the trucks and collections of the recyclables.
History,
is-
it looks like in the last 3 years, we've gone up roughly $2,000 a year in our
Yeah.
assessment.
So I have another sheet here that breaks down what.
Speaking of trash.
That's what I was thinking.
Everybody's business is picking up.
It sounds like my guys are next door. This shows a breakdown of the different areas. The part that's got the arrow over is the recycling collection, and then if you look over to the left, it shows the different towns and what our percentage, like say Guilford, that's what the recycling collection, which we're not even getting because we don't have the boxes anymore.
Yeah.
Which, the reason we don't have the boxes is because the district has said, we may be getting rid of them, we're gonna keep them, we're gonna get rid of them.
Yeah.
So that's why this board has been reluctant to name a new spot for them, because why invest the money
If they're
if they're not gonna
yeah.
keep them? And so, you know, that's why we've been, you know, teetering and.
So when you talk about replacement for trucks to pick up recycling in the bins, are those the bins that we don't have in the town?
Yes.
That other towns do?
Yes,
And trucks to pick up the recycling
Yes.
from the bins within the town?
Yes.
Not at the solid waste management facility itself?
yes.
No, but aren't they also, don't those trucks also pick up at now every place where there's a dumpster or something in town? Every
Right,
truck.
that's like in Brattleboro behind the high school.
No, but I meant privately as well, because you have to pick up recyclables from individuals at this point, correct?
Not the district doesn't.
Okay,
No, we do.
right. you
As
do.
haulers, yes.
Yeah, they-
But.
Oh, but the district.
She's,
does.
she's,
Oh,
yes.
Sorry, thank you.
Yes, you're correct, yes.
So,
So,
has there been discussion about getting rid of the bins and the trucks as a way to minimize expenses?
yes, that's the,
That's the no MRF.
exactly,
Okay.
yes.
So, but even though we don't have the bins, we're still paying
Right.
for
And
the
so,
service.
what Brattleboro would like to see, and there's going to be a meeting Thursday night, which anyone can go to, it's at 5:30. Well, the individual Brattleboro meeting is at 5:30, there's a finance meeting at 6:30 at the district office on Ferry Road. But what Brattleboro itself has been pushing is they'd like to see what we call a fee for service, where towns can pick and choose which services they would like, because
And not pay for the ones they don't choose.
don't need.
Yeah.
Because fortunately or unfortunately, there are 19 towns within the district.
Yeah.
And they're varied throughout the towns, throughout the district. And some of those towns have what we call, they're called transfer stations, where they have a little area that's closed off, and it's manned, and people bring their own trash there. It's like their own little dump, if you want to call it, okay? And they have a big box there, and they have an attendant, and that's the way they have their trash picked up, like say Jamaica per se, or whatever. And then you might have us or Triple T or whatever will come and pick that one big box up and bring it down to dump it, and that's the way the town residents get rid of their trash, okay? Or their recyclables. So theirs is a little bit different setup than say Vernon or Guilford or Brattleboro. So they may need a little bit different service than say Brattleboro, than us. And Brattleboro and Westminster and Vernon have town-wide curbside collection for both recyclables and the trash. So they're in a different setup even yet. And so they don't even need the bins or, any of it. So it's, everybody, each town may need a little bit different service, but that was brought up last year and it got discussed a little bit. It went round and round and round, and then it just kind of got tabled. It was never brought up again. It may be brought up again this Thursday, I don't know.
Are you going to be at that meeting this year?
Yes, I'm going to go.
I will tell you, just so you guys know, speaking of appreciation, several towns have Wyndham Solid Waste Management District representatives who don't actually go to the meetings. So we are very lucky here in Guilford that we have both Troy and Cheryl representing us, and our voices are heard and information is shared. And when we had that regional meeting, it was kind of funny because some select board members weren't even sure who their rep was, and we're pretty sure they didn't go to things. So we are grateful, and we are better informed than many towns.
So do we have a preference for what you're
I
representing on
think,
Thursday?
I will tell you, my preference is certainly the fee-for-service model. Because we in Guilford end up paying for things, first of all, that we don't get, and we end up paying for towns that are far away in the district because they cost more.
Well, that's the other thing, that is, all of the fees are based on population.
Not
And that's
geography.
permanent population, not like ski population either.
Yeah.
And so there's, if you see the number of trips these trucks are taking to some of these towns that are many, many miles away, much further than say Guilford or Vernon or Brattleboro, especially in the wintertime when you're going over the mountains, it's when you just base it on population, it's not a fair assessment.
It's not a fair assessment, and I actually think the district could do better for itself financially. I think it's losing money in as well as the fact that we're subsidizing some other towns. I don't want to sound resentful, just a little bit.
And unfortunately, the comeback for some of these towns that are on the other side of that is, well, we're a municipality, and if you're a member of a town, the town doesn't say, well, the school is only for the kids that live close to the school, or that kind of thing. But you know what? My kids live on dirt road that doesn't get plowed all the way up. So you know what, and some
It's-
kids have to walk to the bus stop and some don't, and
Yeah, so you're
Some
saying
people,
that,
you know,
that
in
analogy
Vernon-
doesn't work, yeah.
that's what I, you know,
Yeah.
it only works to a certain point. You know, so, and I know there are, actually, there's one person on the district board who actually runs another district, and if I understand correctly, they do a sort of fee-for-service structure in the different towns within that.
So, Cheryl really came today just to give us
Just to give you
an
information.
overview,
Yeah, no,
and
that's
I'm
great.
not- I think if other people, I shared my opinion, I don't know if anybody else would like to at this point, if you feel like you have enough information to share your opinion with Cheryl for the Thursday meeting, or if you want to go to the Thursday meeting.
And I don't even know if fee-for-service will be an option, because all I was given was no MRF, modified MRF, so.
So if they go with no MRF, that means all towns have to have no MRF? Because it seems like they're gonna have to have that machinery. If somebody says, I want MRF, they're gonna have to eat that expense of
gonna
having
be-
that
They would
machinery.
close it down.
It'd be all or none.
It'd be
It's all or none.
It's all or none.
Okay, that's
yes,
what, I
it's
guess
all or
was my
none.
question.
Right, it's all or none if they go that route. And then they would just have no recycling there.
So if I, as an individual, I don't have somebody picking up my trash.
So
or-
your self-hauler, yes.
Yes, I have no place to bring my recycling.
Oh, yeah, anywhere you bring it, they have to take it.
So if I brought it
So
to
if you-
Wyndham Solid Waste Management?
They would still have to take your recyclables, yes.
But
They
there
just-
wouldn't be a
But-
place
They
in
wouldn't
town?
process it there.
Yeah.
Right.
But they would turn it into trash?
Oh, no, they still have to bring it, they would have to figure out where it's gonna go.
To recycle it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
it's not
it would still
an
be,
empty
it would still be,
Okay,
it would
alright.
still be being recycled, it just wouldn't be processed there,
I see.
yes.
Gabby?
So if the district decides to go no MRF, nothing would really change for Guilford. Is that correct?
Your assessment would go down.
Well, aside from that, as far as services and what happens in our town, we're not losing anything, nothing would change.
Other than, people that might be using the bins in
Brattleboro or
Brattleboro would have to just take their recyclables to either have their hauler do it, if they're using a hauler, or if they're a self-haul, they would have to take their recyclables to wherever they take their trash. That's it.
Makes it sound pretty good for us,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, because if you look at the, I have that, I think I handed out, yeah, that sheet that breaks it all down.
This one?
Yes.
Here you go.
It would save you, based on last year's numbers, if I can see here.
8,000.
The 10,000, well, 10,800 for recycling collection, and the MRF is 91, so 20,000 bucks, give or take.
Which is significant on a small budget.
$100 off my taxes.
So Cheryl, thank you for your
Yes.
time and for
So-
coming. And what I'm anticipating, because we are in budget season, I don't like to put too much on you because I know you're a busy person, but if you could come back to see us sometime in like late November, I think
Yeah,
that's.
once they
Yeah, that would be
figure
really
out what's
helpful.
going on, and
Yeah.
I know more, and whatever, and.
Well, and thank you for all you do for us. We appreciate
Okay,
it.
you're welcome. And if you have any questions, give me a call, or
What do you take, if you take something down to Mallory, how do you do that?
if you take something down to Mallory, you mean like trash?
Yeah.
Then you have to take recycling too.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, anybody that accepts trash has to take recyclables too. Yeah, that's part of the law too. So, alrighty.
We're gonna go right ahead to communications and see if we can wrap up here. So, and guess what? I see something that looks very hopeful here.
Oh, yes, yes. Can we go back to that?
I believe we have found the second payroll warrant. So I will sign this. We already moved and approved it, so I'm going to just sign it, pass it around, get it back in Ron's hot little hands before we misplace it. So,
I do have a question on that. Am I supposed to sign, there's a place for the town administrator to sign on that one? Am I supposed to sign that, or is someone else gonna sign for the town administrator?
you would sign, because at this plate, that would be falling to your bailiwick.
Okay, just want to double check.
Yep, well, thank you, appreciate that. So as soon as we get that back in your hands, then we'll go through communications. And to the best of my knowledge, there's no reason, we have no executive session. All right. So what usually happens, okay, yep, good. So on I'm assuming this is the one about, this is Entergy.
I know.
Is this Salvage? Yeah,
Salvage.
thank you, okay. So Southeastern Vermont Economic Development, they're having a meeting on Tuesday, October 20th, 4 to 6 at Entergy's Governor Hunt House. Do people know where that is, right down in Guilford? If there's anybody that I would like an RSVP by the 13th. When is that? Is that today?
That's today.
That would be today.
So-
So take a look, and if there is somebody who is interested and able to go,
You bring us.
oh, God. So Gabby will be there. Is there anybody else?
No.
Okay, great. So the next item is notice of application for public good. This is adjoining landowners. This is a solar group net metering project. Which one is this? Be advised that the application has been filed with Vermont Public Service Board today seeking approval of the installation of the 500 kilowatt. This is the exit one, John Sites Drive, that we did talk about, okay? There's a wastewater permit application for Addison and Adelaide Minot. And this is really, we're just being informed of this. Looks like they might be in the same situation, I don't know, as Tuckers, or maybe,
They haven't came in to pay their fee yet, it hasn't been recorded.
but it's replaced wastewater system, so, yeah. And next is another application from Al, let's see, this is add cabin with on-site system in Borkowski Drive. Borkowski is spelled wrong, but, so we received your complete application. Do you want to take a look at this?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I don't see the name on that one. Borkowski,
It just has a parcel ID.
yeah.
Is that the Wellesley, Mass people?
Yeah, they're from somewhere else.
They did a campsite record.
Borkowski?
I don't know where it was.
I don't think so. I think that was on Stony Hill or someplace like that.
For Reading and then-
Oh, no?
Yeah, it's different.
that's, Kenworthy, I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, Al
name, way up on top.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a totally separate away from the house. She's gonna put in a camera up on it.
This is
He's
not
gonna
by
put in a
Ben's
what?
house?
It's not by Ben's house, it's
Okay.
totally separate.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Dick, I didn't hear you. He's gonna put in a camp?
Yeah, that's basically what it's gonna be, the camp.
Add cabin with on-site system. Okay, and then Karen Horn from, let's see, this is Vermont City Management Association Fall Meeting. I was wrong, there are more meetings coming up. And this one is the 22nd, and it is, I think, is it up at UVM? Mhm. They're offering a scholarship for attendees for the first time. So is anybody interested in this conference? I don't know that we've attended this, I can't,
I don't think they're big enough to be qualified
Okay.
as a city anyway.
good, I'm glad.
Having that, I have a trivia question for you. What honor did Brattleboro get in 1951?
I don't know.
Trivia question.
Best small city in Vermont.
All-American city.
Oh,
It doesn't look like.
At that point, it was the seventh largest
I didn't get it.
town in Vermont.
and I'm not
That's
sure.
what, four?
That's
you can see
something
one.
else, very small than
Because
that. I knew the answer, but I had to look it up to make before I told you guys. I didn't want to pop a
So
question out
next-
there that was some.
Our next meeting date is the 26th, am I right about that?
Yes.
Yes, and that will be a regular 6:30 meeting in the evening. Thanks to everybody for being able to be here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, great.
Don't you move, I don't get that.